The wind howls outside, but it doesn't scare me anymore. This place used to be a ruin, but now it's my fortress. I still remember the day he left. He kissed me, but his eyes were already looking somewhere else. As his truck drove away, I felt a cold knot of dread in my stomach. The first snow fell a week later, and it was beautiful. I kept the fire going, waiting for a truck that never came. Then the radio died, and the silence just got heavier. The food ran out, and the well pump froze solid. I tried to fix it, but my hands were just too cold. Every day was a fight just to stay warm. I found a box hidden under the snow. The deed wasn't in my name, and the bank account was empty. That's when I knew he hadn't just left me. The letter talked about erasing his existing ties. He didn't just want to leave me. He wanted me to disappear completely. The shock was like a punch to the gut. But then the sadness just turned into pure, white-hot rage. He thought I was weak, but he was dead wrong. I stopped seeing this place as a tomb. I started working, learning how to survive on my own. My hands got calloused, but I was finally getting stronger. I built a new stove from an old drum and some stones. It took a lot of work, but it finally started to hold heat. Sitting by that fire, I felt a peace I'd never known. By the second winter, this place was a real fortress. I had everything I needed to survive. He thought he was breaking me, but he was just making me stronger. I kept wondering why he did it. Why not just leave and be done with it? Why try to make sure I didn't make it through the winter? It was time to finally open the shed. I grabbed the pry bar and just went for it. I wasn't going to let the past scare me anymore. The place smelled like old oil and forgotten things. I was just clearing out the junk when I felt something under the floor. My heart started pounding in my chest. I found a tin box hidden under the floor. There were letters in there and a photo. It was a woman and a baby, and it wasn't me. He had a whole other life the whole time. All those trips he took, they weren't Thras. He was supporting another family while I was here. The last letter was an ultimatum. He had to choose, and he chose to get rid of me. He wanted me to just disappear so he could be free. It wasn't just abandonment, it was a setup. He saw me as a problem to be solved. Everything he ever said to me was just a lie. I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt a kind of clarity I'd never known. He thought he'd bury me, but he just made me stronger. A ranger found me a few months later. I showed them everything I found in the shed. His whole new life came crashing down. I decided to stay right here. This place is my home now. I finally found out who I really am. The legal stuff was a total grind, but it finally brought the truth out. Silas got caught in his new life, and his whole fake world just fell apart. Seeing him lose everything was a weird kind of closure for me. I decided to stay right here, even after the cops were done. This place used to be a symbol of everything he took from me. Now it's my sanctuary, and I built every bit of it myself. I'm still tweaking the systems I set up during those first hard winters. The rocket stove is still going strong, keeping the place nice and warm. I've even started a little library, filling the shelves where his old junk used to be. The garden's gotten way bigger, and it keeps me fed all year round. I've learned how to preserve everything, so I'm never going to be caught off guard again. It's a rhythm that just feels right, like I'm finally part of this land. Sometimes I just sit on the porch and watch the seasons roll by. The wind used to scare me, but now it just feels like a friend. I've made my peace with everything, and I'm actually looking forward to what's next. I still keep that longbow around, even if I don't really need it for hunting anymore. It reminds me of everything I had to learn just to make it out here. It's a symbol of the strength I found when I had absolutely nothing left. This place isn't just a survival shack anymore. It's actually a home. I've added some stuff to make it mine, like these mats and carvings. It finally feels like a space that belongs to me, and it shows how far I've come. I've started writing everything down, all the lessons I've learned out here. It's a good way to process the past and turn it into something that actually matters. Maybe these notes will help someone else find their own way one day. The woods didn't break me. They just made me stronger than I ever thought possible. I look at my hands, and I see everything I've been through and everything I've done. I'm not that woman who got left behind anymore. I'm the one who stayed and made it. Out here in the quiet, I finally found out who I really am. That whole betrayal was just the start of a much better story. I'm Elara, and this is my life, my home, and my truth. I walk the perimeter of my land every single day. The forest is quiet, but it feels like home now. I check my food stores, making sure everything is ready. It's a far cry from the empty cupboards I once had. The stove is the heart of this place. It keeps the cold out, even on the worst nights. I'm building a small addition for my tools. It keeps my mind sharp and my hands busy. Evenings are for reading and writing. It's a way to stay connected to the world. I barely recognize the woman I used to be. I've learned so much about what I'm capable of. I've learned to embrace the rhythm of the land. Each season brings its own challenges and rewards. I'm writing down everything I've learned. Maybe it'll help someone else find their own strength. I'm not the same woman who arrived here. I'm finally home. This place is my Defiant throne. I've built a life that is truly my own. I look back at those early days when the silence was still so loud. The cabin was just a shell back then, cold and unforgiving. I remember the frost creeping across the glass, like it was trying to get in. I spent hours staring at the fire, looking for more than just heat. It was the only thing keeping me tethered when the isolation felt like it might swallow me whole. I had to learn to be my own company and find strength in the quiet. The work was brutal, but it kept the panic at bay. Every log I chopped felt like a small victory against him. I was building a life, one piece of wood at a time. I remember the day I finally fixed the well. My hands were raw and bleeding, but when that water started flowing, I felt like I'd conquered the world. It wasn't just water. It was proof I could survive anything. I started to see the forest differently, not as a place of exile. I learned to forage and track, reading the signs of the seasons. It was like I was learning the language of the land, and it was speaking back. The nights were the hardest, when the wind would howl like a ghost. But I had my books, my fire, and my own thoughts. I wasn't afraid anymore. I was just waiting, preparing for what came next. I remember finding that box in the shed. It was like opening a door to a past I didn't even know existed. The papers and the photograph, it all just clicked into place. Reading those letters, seeing the truth, it was like a weight being lifted. I wasn't the problem. I was just the obstacle he needed to remove. And knowing that, it didn't break me. It made me stronger. I look at this place now, my fortress, and I don't see a tomb. I see a testament to my own survival. I built this, piece by piece, and no one can take that away. The wilderness didn't break me. It forged me. In its silent embrace, I finally found myself. I'm not the woman who arrived here 3 years ago, and I'm glad for that. I'm finally home. It wasn't just a simple case of him leaving me behind. He had a whole other life, a secret family he was building while I was here starving. I was just an obstacle he needed to clear out of his way. I stood up, and for the first time, my legs felt steady. This shed wasn't a place of pain anymore. It was a resource, a collection of things I could use to make my fortress even stronger. Back inside, I started reinforcing the main door with heavy timber. Every nail I drove in felt like a barrier between my past and my future. I wasn't just keeping the cold out anymore. I spent days rigging up a perimeter alarm system. Just some fishing line and old tin cans, but it worked. It gave me a sense of security I hadn't felt in years. The longbow I made was my final piece of defense. I practiced for hours every day, and my aim got better. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a guardian. When the second winter hit, I was ready. The cabin was warm, and the cellar was full. I watched the snow fall, and for once I didn't feel afraid. A forest ranger found my path one day. He was shocked to find me living out here all on my own. I showed him everything I'd found in the shed. The authorities finally caught up with him. His whole new life just fell apart. It was justice, I guess, in its own cold way. I decided to stay here. This place, which was supposed to be my tomb, became my sanctuary. I'm finally living a life that's truly my own. The wilderness didn't break me, it forged me. I'm not the same woman who arrived here 3 years ago. I'm finally home, and I'm finally free. I look back at the cabin, seeing it not as a place of trauma, but as a testament to my endurance. These logs, once just wood, now feel like armor I built with my own 2 hands. I stand on the threshold, breathing in the crisp mountain air, feeling a sense of ownership that's entirely mine. The garden I planted is finally showing signs of life, even in this harsh soil. I kneel in the dirt, checking the progress of the hardy greens I managed to coax from the earth. It's a quiet, meditative task that grounds me in the present moment. I walk to the stream, the river whisper, which has become my lifeline. The water flows clear and cold, a constant rhythmic sound that keeps me company. I check the filtration system I built, ensuring the flow remains steady and clean. Inside, the rocket mass heater is the heart of my home. I feed it a small piece of wood, watching the fire dance behind the small metal door. It's a simple, efficient design that keeps the chill at bay, a constant reminder of my own ingenuity. I spend my evenings reading by the light of a lantern, the books I've scavenged becoming my window to the world. They are worn and tattered, but their pages hold knowledge that has saved me more than once. I feel a deep gratitude for the words that helped me survive. I check the perimeter, walking the line of my alarm system. The tin cans are silent, but their presence is a comfort. I know that if anything were to approach, I would be ready. It's a strange, quiet vigilance that has become second nature. I practice with my longbow, the wood smooth and familiar in my grip. I focus on the target, a mark I've carved into a tree, and release. The arrow flies true, a testament to the hours of practice I've put in. I am no longer the woman who was afraid of her own shadow. I sit on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. It's a beautiful, fleeting moment that I've learned to cherish. I am at peace with the silence, with the isolation, and with the woman I have become. I look at the photograph of Silas and me, the one I found in the shed. It no longer holds any power over me. I tuck it away, a reminder of the past, but not a part of my future. I am ready to move forward, to continue building this life I've earned. I stand in the doorway one last time, looking out at the wilderness that became my home. It didn't break me, it forged me. And in its silent embrace, I finally found myself. I am home, and I am free. I walk the edge of my property, checking the markers I set up. The forest is quiet and cold, but I feel like I finally own this place. It's a huge change from the fear I felt when I first got here. Back inside, I'm getting everything ready for the winter. I'm sorting through my dried herbs and food supplies. Whew, the cabin feels so warm and safe compared to the freezing cold outside. I look at the heater, the real heart of this place. It's working perfectly, keeping the whole cabin nice and cozy. I'm honestly proud of building something this efficient myself. I look out the window at the changing forest. The air's getting colder, and winter is definitely on its way.
I know what's coming, but I'm not scared anymore.
I grab my journal, the one I've been keeping since I got here. It's got all my notes on plants, repairs, and everything else. It's a real record of my journey and how far I've come.
I hear a sound outside and stop to listen.
My senses are always sharp, just in case. It's a habit I've picked up to stay safe out here.
I need to check my firewood supply before the real cold hits.
I head out to the pile, and the air is already biting. The stack is huge, and it's all thanks to my hard work. I take a deep breath of the cold air. I've survived so much, and I know I can handle this winter. I'm ready for whatever comes next. I head back inside, and the warmth feels so good. I get a fire going, and the crackling sound is just perfect. It's time to settle in and get some rest for tomorrow. I look around, and I just feel at peace. This place used to be a symbol of everything I lost. Now it's my home, and I'm proud of who I've become. I've been avoiding the shed for way too long. It's time to see what's really inside. Lock finally gave way. It smells like old oil and forgotten things in here. There's something hidden under these old tarps. Wait, this floorboard is loose. My hands are shaking a little bit. Whatever's in here is gonna change everything. Oh my God. That's Silas. But who is that woman? He was living a whole other life. He was using our money for them the whole time. He didn't just leave me. He wanted me to disappear so he could be with them. He thought I was weak. He was so wrong about me. I have everything I need now. The truth is finally mine. I'm not a ghost anymore. I'm the one who made it out. Months later, a forest ranger stumbled upon my path. He didn't find a victim. He found a survivor. I handed over the evidence to the ranger. It was the final piece of the puzzle. His new life quickly unraveled. He thought he was safe, but he was wrong. He faced the consequences of his actions. Everything he built was destroyed. I decided to stay right here. This place became my sanctuary. My life is finally my own. I'm the master of my own fate now. He tried to bury me in the snow, but he only made me stronger. In this silence, I finally found myself. I am finally home. These hands tell the story of my survival. I wouldn't trade this life for anything. The wilderness is my home. I am exactly where I'm meant to be. I often sit by the window, watching the seasons shift across the valley. The silence here isn't empty. It's full of the lessons I've learned. I've become part of this landscape, just as much as the trees and the stones. My hands are a map of everything I've survived. Every scar tells a story of a mistake I made and the solution I found. They aren't pretty, but they're strong. I remember the fear that used to grip me when the wind howled. Now I just add another log to the stove and listen to it pass. It's just noise, nothing more. I've learned to read the forest like a book. I know when the storm is coming by the way the birds go quiet. It's a language I never thought I'd speak. Sometimes I think about the life I left behind. It feels like a dream someone else had. I don't miss the noise or the expectations. I've built a home here, piece by piece. Every board, every stone, every jar of food is a victory. I'm not just surviving. I'm living.
The winter is long, but I'm ready.
I have enough wood, enough food, and enough peace to last.
I'm not afraid of the cold anymore.
I've found a strength I never knew I had.
It wasn't given to me. I had to forge it in the fire of my own betrayal.
And I'm grateful for it.
This place is my sanctuary.
It's where I learned who I really am.
I'm not the woman I was, and I'm glad for that.
I am Elara, and this is my Defiant throne. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.
The wilderness didn't break me. It forged me.
I often look back at that first winter, the one that nearly claimed me. It was a brutal, unforgiving season that stripped away every illusion I had. I remember the biting cold, the way it seeped through the logs. The hunger was a constant, gnawing companion that never really left my side. I had to learn to hunt, to set snares, and to overcome the revulsion. It was a desperate daily struggle just to keep the fire burning. I remember the day I finally fixed the well pump, a moment of pure victory. The water gushed out, clear and cold, a lifeline I had fought for. It was the first time I felt like I might actually win this war. Insulation became my obsession, a way to reclaim my space from the winter. I stuffed every crack with moss and fabric, sealing the cabin against the wind. It was slow, tedious work, but it kept the warmth inside. The roof was a nightmare, a constant source of dread until I patched it. I remember the fear as I climbed that rickety ladder, the wind whipping around me. But the relief of a dry floor was worth every terrifying second. My greatest triumph was the rocket mass heater, born of sheer necessity. It took weeks of trial and error, but when it finally roared to life, the warmth it provided was like a hug from the earth itself. By spring, I was a different woman, forged by the very wilderness. My body was stronger, my mind sharper, and my resolve harder than iron. I had survived, and in doing so, I had found a new, defiant version of myself. I spent the summer preparing, not just for survival, but for a life of my own. I expanded my garden, built a root cellar, and reinforced every part of my home. I wasn't just waiting for the world to come to me. I was building a fortress. The second winter was different, a time of quiet confidence rather than fear. I watched the blizzards rage outside, knowing I was safe, warm, and prepared. I had done it, and the realization was a victory more profound than any I had ever known. But even in my triumph, a lingering question remained. Why? Why the elaborate deception, the cruel abandonment? I decided to finally face the past, to open the shed, and to uncover the truth. I forced the rusted padlock with the pry-by. The door creaked open, revealing a space thick with stale oil. I stepped inside, ready to face the ghosts of my past. My foot hit something solid beneath a pile of old tarps. I knelt down and pulled the heavy fabric aside. I pried up the loose floorboard, uncovering a hidden tin box. I opened the tin box, my breath hitching. Inside was a stack of letters, neatly tied with twine. A photograph showed Silas, beaming with a baby and another woman. I read the letters, each word cutting through my heart. They detailed a life he had been living concurrently with ours. His long absences weren't about investments. They were about another family. I found the final letter, dated just weeks before he left. The revelation hit me with a chilling horror. I wasn't just the wife. I was an obstacle to be solved. His charm was just a performance to ensnare me. There was no despair, only a profound sense of clarity. The knot in my stomach untangled, replaced by a fierce resolve. He wanted me to be a casualty, but I became the master. A lone forest ranger stumbled upon my path months later. He found a self-sufficient, formidable survivor. The evidence I provided painted a damning picture of his cruelty.
Silas's new life quickly unraveled.
He was found, living with his secret family. The weight of his deception finally caught up to him. I stayed, and this place became my sanctuary. He sought to bury me, but he only sowed the seeds of my strength. The wilderness did not break me. It forged me. I look around this cabin now. It's not a place of abandonment anymore. It's a testament to everything I've built. This stove is the heart of my home. It keeps the winter chill away. I built this with my own 2 hands. I used to dread the snow. It felt like a prison back then. Now it's just the world outside. I've learned so much out here. Every page in this book is a lesson. I'm not the same person I was. These tools are my lifeline. They've helped me build everything here. I know how to use them now. It's the simple things that matter. A warm cup of tea in the quiet. This is my life now. I grew these myself. They remind me of the summer. Life finds a way, even here. Everything is secure. I'm safe here. I've built a fortress. This wilderness is my home now. It didn't break me. I finally found myself. I'm ready for whatever comes next. I have the strength to face it. This is my Defiant throne. I built this root cellar with my own 2 hands. It's my insurance policy against the long, cold winter. Look at these berries. They're a little reminder of summer, tucked away for when the snow gets too deep. I learned to spin this wool from scratch. It's not perfect, but it's warm, and that's all that matters out here. The storm's picking up again. Used to be, this wind would make me want to hide. Now it just feels like home. I made this bow myself. It's not just for hunting. It's for keeping my peace of mind. The fire's getting low. Gotta keep it fed if I want to stay warm tonight. Sometimes I just sit here and watch the flames. It's funny how the things that used to scare me don't anymore. There's always something new to figure out. I've got a whole lot more to write down before this winter's through. It's not just a record of what I did. It's a record of who I've become. I'm not the same person I was when I got here, and I'm not going anywhere. I set the journal aside and stand up. I walk toward the window to look out at the forest. The snow has finally stopped, leaving everything in a state of frozen perfection. Wait, I hear something. It's the crunch of boots on the snow. I haven't heard that in months. I don't panic. I just reach for the door bar. I move to the side of the window, staying in the shadows. A man in a heavy parka emerges from the trees. He stops at the edge of the clearing, looking toward the cabin. He doesn't look like Silas, but I'm still scared. I check the tension on my longbow. I'm not the same woman I was back then. He takes a step forward and raises his hands. He calls out, but I can't hear him over the wind. I don't respond. I just keep watching him. He pulls out a small radio. He holds it up to show me he's not armed. It looks like a standard ranger radio. Maybe he's not here to hurt me. He might be here because someone is looking for me. I lower the bow, but I keep it close. I open the door just a crack. Whew, the cold air rushes in. He looks at me with surprise, like he can't believe what he's seeing. He asks if I'm Elara. He looks at me like he's seeing a ghost. I nod and tell him yes, I'm Elara. He lets out a long, shaky breath. He says they've been looking for me for a long time. I look back at my cabin and feel ready to let the world back in. He steps inside, taking in the sight of my home. He looks at the shelves and tools with genuine awe. I watch him closely, waiting to see if he understands. He gestures toward the heater, asking how I built it. I tell him it was about survival and turning this place into a sanctuary. I offer him a cup of herbal tea. He accepts it, his hands still trembling from the cold. We sit on the bench, the silence filled with the crackling fire. I begin to speak, my voice steady as I recount the betrayal. I don't hold back the details of his departure or his secret life. The ranger listens, his expression shifting to anger. He asks to see the letters I found in the shed. I lead him outside, the cold air biting at our faces. The shed stands as a silent witness to the past. Inside the shed, I hand him the tin box. He reads the letters carefully, his brow furrowed in disbelief. He looks at the photograph, the weight of the deception settling in. He promises that this evidence will be enough. He tells me the authorities will be notified immediately. I feel a strange mix of relief and attachment to this place. We walk back to the cabin, the snow crunching under our feet. The forest seems different now, less like a hostile wilderness. I feel a deep, quiet gratitude for the strength I found. Inside, the ranger prepares to leave, radioing his team. I watch him, knowing my life is about to change again. I've survived the worst, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. As he departs, I stand in the doorway, watching him go. I turn back to my cabin, my defiant throne. I take a deep breath. Finally, truly, home. The silence of the cabin feels different now. It's like the walls themselves are finally breathing. I'm finally at peace with everything that happened. Every tool here has a story. They're the reason I'm still standing today. I built this life with my own 2 hands. This stove is the heart of everything. It kept me warm when I had nothing else. It's my own little piece of defiance. Spring is finally starting to show its face. It's amazing how the forest just keeps going. I'm ready for whatever this next season brings. I never planned for any of this, but I wouldn't trade it for anything now. This place is mine, through and through. The air feels so clean out here. It's like the whole world is waking up. I'm finally ready to face the world again. These hands have seen a lot. They're not pretty, but they're strong. I've earned every single one of these scars. I'm finally home. Everything is exactly where it needs to be. I'm ready for whatever comes next. It's nice to just sit and read for a while. I've learned to appreciate the little things. Life is good, even out here. I'm finally the person I was meant to be. This is my life, and I'm proud of it. I'm finally, truly free. I set the book aside and stand up. The cabin feels different, Math. It's a testament to everything I've overcome. I reach out and trace the grain of the log wall. I remember the nights I spent shivering here. Now I know every knot and crack in this wood. I pick up a small, hand-carved wooden bird. It represents the patience I had to learn. I turn it over in my fingers. I look at the shelves filled with jars. Each one is a victory against the cold. That fear has been replaced by a quiet pride. I move to the center of the room. I take a deep breath. It's a good silence, the kind that comes after a fight. I walk over to the door and push it open. The forest is waking up. It's a new season and I'm ready. I step out onto the porch. I look out at the path I've cleared. It's a reminder of the choice I made. I turn back to the cabin. It's a monument to the woman I've become. I close the door behind me. I sit back down on the bench. I pick up my book again. I just sit, listening to the fire. I look up from my book and smile. I've survived. I've thrived. This is my defiant throne. I set the book aside and stand up. The cabin feels different now, like a testament to everything I've overcome. I walk toward the window, watching the last of the winter ice drip away. I reach out and trace the grain of the log wall. I remember the nights I spent shivering against these very timbers. Back then, I was just trying to survive the next hour. Now I know every knot and crack in this wood like the lines on my own palm. I walk over to the workbench and pick up a small, hand-carved wooden bird. It's a simple thing, but it represents the patience I had to learn. I turn it over in my fingers, feeling the smooth, polished surface. I set the bird back down and look at the shelves filled with jars of preserved food. Each one is a victory, a hoard of calories I gathered against the cold. I remember the fear of running out, but that fear has been replaced by a quiet, steady pride. I move to the center of the room and take a deep breath. It's a good silence, the kind that only comes after you've fought for your peace. I feel the strength in my legs and the steady rhythm of my own heart. I walk over to the door and push it open. The forest is waking up, the birds are starting to sing, and the snow is finally retreating. It's a new season, and for the first time, I'm ready for whatever it brings. I step out onto the porch, the wood creaking under my weight. I look out at the path I've cleared, a winding trail that leads back to the world I left behind. I don't need to walk it, but it's good to know it's there, a reminder of the choice I made. I turn back to the cabin, my home, my fortress. It's not just a shelter anymore. It's a monument to the woman I've become. I close the door behind me, the sound of the latch clicking into place a final, satisfying note of security. I sit back down on the bench, the fire and the stove still crackling softly. I pick up my book again, but I don't read. I just sit, listening to the fire, feeling the warmth, and enjoying the simple, hard-won piece of my own life. I look up from my book and smile, a genuine, heartfelt smile that reaches my eyes. I've survived, I've thrived, and I've found myself in the process. This isn't just a cabin. It's my defiant throne, and I'm the queen of my own destiny. I set the book down, feeling the weight of the story. It's wild to look back at who I was when I first got here. I walk to the window, watching the light shift across the forest. My fingers brush against the rough logs of the wall. Every crack here tells a story of a long, cold night. I know this cabin better than I know my own reflection. I pick up the small wooden bird I carved during the worst winter. It's a simple thing, but it represents the patience I had to learn. I turn it over in my hands, feeling the smooth, polished wood. I look at the shelves filled with jars of preserved food. Each one is a victory, a hoard of calories I gathered. That old fear has been replaced by a quiet, steady pride. I move to the center of the room and take a deep breath. It's a good silence, the kind that comes after you've fought for peace. I feel the strength in my legs and the steady rhythm of my heart. I walk over to the door and push it open. The forest is waking up, and the snow is finally retreating. It's a new season, and I'm ready for whatever it brings. I step out onto the porch, the wood creaking under my weight. I look out at the path I've cleared, leading back to the world. It's good to know it's there, a reminder of the choice I made. I turn back to the cabin, my home, my fortress. It's not just a shelter anymore. It's a monument to who I am. I close the door, the latch clicking into place. I sit back down on the bench, the fire crackling softly. I pick up my book, but I read. I just sit, enjoying the simple, hard-won piece of my life. I look up from my book and smile. I've survived, I've thrived, and I've found myself. This isn't just a cabin. It's my defiant throne. I set the book aside and stand up. My joints feel the ache of a long day. I walk to the window and look out at the forest. My fingers trace the rough logs of the wall. I remember the nights I spent shivering, Now the walls are solid and keep the cold out.
I pick up the small wooden bird I carve.
It represents the patience I had to learn.
I turn it over in my hands, feeling the smooth wood.
I look at the shelves filled with jars of food.
Each one is a victory against the cold.
That old fear is gone, replaced by pride. I take a deep breath in the center of the room. It's a good, hard-won silence. I feel the strength in my legs and my steady heart. I push the door open to the cool air. The forest is waking up and the snow is melting. It's a new season and I'm ready for it.
I step out onto the porch. I look at the path leading back to the world.
It's a reminder of the choice I made.
I turn back to my home, my fortress.
It's a monument to the woman I've become.
I close the door, and the latch clicks shut. I sit back down by the fire.
I pick up my book, but I don't read. I just listen to the fire and enjoy the peace. I look up and smile, a real smile. I've survived and found myself.
This is my throne, and I'm in control.
I set the book down, thinking back to that morning. The forest felt so huge and quiet that day. Then I heard the crunch of boots on the path. He looked totally shocked to see me standing there. I didn't look like some victim to him. I stood tall, a woman who had built her own life. I let him inside, mostly because I had nothing to hide. The place was clean and the fire was warm. I wanted him to see this was a real home.
He walked around, looking at everything I had built.
He saw the food, the walls, and my tools. He didn't say a word, but his face said it all. I told him everything, just the facts.
I didn't want his pity or his help. I just needed the truth to come out.
After he left, the cabin felt totally different. The silence was peaceful instead of heavy. I finally felt like I owned my own story. I added some wood to the stove and watched the fire. It felt like a little celebration. I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm right where I belong.
I sat back down and felt the warmth of a fire.
I picked up my book, but didn't even open it. The wind outside just sounds like a reminder now. The wilderness tried to break me, but it only made me stronger.
I looked around at my home and felt so proud.
I really did it. I actually survived. I closed my eyes and just let the silence in. I'm finally home and I'm finally safe.
I'm free, and the future is all mine.
I stood up and walked toward the window. The snow was finally starting to melt away. It felt like a brand new beginning. I grabbed my coat and stepped outside. The air smelled like pine and wet earth. I was finally ready to face the world. I walked down the path I had cleared. Every step felt like taking back my life. I was walking through my own history. I stopped by the stream to watch the water. It was clear and cold, just like I wanted. The sound of the water was so soothing. I looked up at the trees, starting to wake up. The forest felt like a partner now. We both survived the winter together. I turned back to look at my cabin. It was a monument to my own resilience. It kept me safe when I needed it most. I sat back down by the warm stove. My journal was full of plans for the spring. I was finally excited about what was coming. I looked at the tools hanging on the wall. They were extensions of what I could do. I had become the master of my own life. I closed my journal and just listened. This was a peace I had really earned. I wasn't the woman who was left behind anymore. I smiled to myself. A real deep smile. The wilderness didn't break me. It forged me. I finally found who I was meant to be. I walked over to my workbench. My fingers traced the handle of my axe. It was a tool that had kept me alive. I looked out the window again. The forest floor was finally showing signs of life. It was a beautiful contrast to the long winter. I moved to the corner where the stove sat.
I added a small piece of wood to the fire. This stove was my greatest triumph. I sat on the floor and closed my eyes.
The silence of the cabin felt peaceful, Rao. I was grateful for the strength I had found.
I looked at the shelves filled with jars.
Each one represented a day of hard work. I had learned to provide for myself. I stood up and walked to the door. I checked the latch one last time. It was a small ritual of security. I looked around the room. I had transformed. It was no longer just a shack. It was a home and a sanctuary. I picked up my journal again. There was still so much to learn. I was ready for whatever came next. I opened the journal to a fresh page. The sun was shining through the window. It was a beautiful day. I looked out the window one last time. The forest was waking up. I was ready to thrive in the spring.
I set the pen down and looked at the wall.
Every notch here marks another month I survived. It is a tally of my endurance. The cabin feels different now. I push the heavy wooden shutter open. The morning air is crisp and smells like pine. I look out at the garden beds I prepared. The soil is dark and rich. It is my insurance policy against the next winter. I see the longbow I fashioned hanging by the door. It is a simple thing, but perfectly balanced. I test the tension and feel my own strength. I run my hand over the smooth, dried clay of the stove. It is the heart of this cabin. It kept me alive when the world was trying to freeze me out. I check the shelves where I keep my supplies. Everything is neatly organized. I am satisfied with the work I have done. I sit down at the table and pick up my journal. I have so much to write. I am not just surviving anymore. I am building a legacy. The sun is higher now. I look at my hands, calloused and scarred. I don't see the hands of a victim. I stand up and walk to the door. I am ready to face the day. I am no longer afraid of the silence. I step out into the clearing. I take a deep breath. I am here. I am alive, and I am exactly where I am meant to be. I walk toward the edge of the clearing where the forest begins to thicken. The trees stand tall and silent, watching me as I move with a confidence that feels entirely new. I am checking the perimeter, ensuring that my boundaries remain secure against the encroaching wild. My hand brushes against the rough bark of an ancient pine. It's a grounding sensation, a reminder of the life that persists here, regardless of human drama. I pause for a moment, listening to the wind, feeling the pulse of the woods. I reach the spot where I set my first snare, now long abandoned, but still a marker of my early desperation. It's strange to look back at that version of myself, so scared and uncertain. I smile, a small, private gesture of forgiveness for the girl who didn't know she was a survivor. I continue my walk, my boots crunching on the dry leaves. The forest floor is a tapestry of colors, a beautiful, indifferent landscape that has seen so much. I feel a strange sense of belonging here, as if the land itself has accepted me. I find a patch of wild berries still clinging to the bushes despite the late season. I pick a few, tasting the tart, sharp sweetness. It's a simple pleasure, but one that feels like a victory in this harsh environment. The sun begins to dip lower, casting long, golden shadows across the clearing. It's time to head back to the cabin. The evening routine is a comfort, a structure that keeps my days meaningful and my mind sharp. I reach the door and pause, looking back at the forest one last time. The silence is profound, a heavy, peaceful blanket that covers everything. I am ready to go inside, to the warmth and the safety I have built with my own hands. Inside, the cabin is cool and quiet. I light the oil lamp, the flame flickering to life and casting a warm amber glow across the room. It's a small, simple act, but it feels like a ritual of homecoming. I walk over to the rocket mass heater and begin to prepare the fire. The wood is dry and ready, and I know exactly how to arrange it for the best heat. It's a skill I've perfected over time, a testament to my survival. As the fire catches, the room begins to warm. I sit back on my heels, watching the flames dance. I am safe, I am warm, and I am exactly where I need to be. The past is behind me, and the future is mine to build. I watch the morning light hit the trees. The silence out here is absolute. It's a far cry from the chaos I used to know. I check my supplies on the workbench. Everything is organized and ready to go. It's a small victory that keeps me focused. I start carving a piece of wood. It keeps my hands busy during the long nights. The process helps me work through the memories. The fire in the stove crackles. It's a steady, comforting sound. This is the heart of my home. I step outside into the cold air. The forest is quiet, but it's watching. I check the perimeter for any movement. I check the bells on the perimeter. They're a simple, effective system. I know nothing can get close without me knowing. I head back inside to the Worth. I hang up my coat and relax. It's good to be home, safe and secure. I sit down to write in my journal. It's a record of my survival. Every entry is a mark of my defiance. I look at the old photo of us. It doesn't hurt like it used to. He's just a ghost of a man I thought I knew. I put the photo away and blow out the lantern. The cabin is dark, but I'm not afraid. I'm ready for whatever tomorrow brings. The morning light hits the cabin just right. I'm feeling every bit of the work I've put in. It's another day of keeping this place running. Time to get the fire gullet again. It's a simple ritual, but it keeps me grounded. I'm in control here, and that's all that matters. The water's flowing just like it should. It's clear, cold, and it's all mine. Every little fix makes this place feel more like a home. Gotta keep the wood piles stocked up. The next storm is gonna be a rough one. Hard work is the only way to stay ahead out here. The air is so sharp today. It's quiet out here, but I don't mind the silence. I'm stronger than I ever thought I could be. Every swing is a reminder that I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. This place is mine now. The sun's going down. Time to head in. It's good to have a place to come back to. I've done enough for one day. Finally, some peace and quiet. I've built something real here. It's not much, but it's mine.
Every page in here is a battle I've won.
I'm writing my own story now. He thought he could erase me, but he was wrong. Time to get some sleep. Tomorrow's another day, and I'm ready for it. I'm finally home. The morning light hits the floorboards, signaling another day in my sanctuary. I feel the strength in my limbs that I never had back in the city. Every day here is a choice to keep building and proving I'm more than a ghost. I move to the kitchen area, my movements efficient and practiced. The rocket stove is already warm, a steady heart beating in my home. I prepare a simple breakfast, savoring the satisfaction of knowing I gathered it myself. I check the water basin, ensuring the flow from the stream is steady. It's a small, functional victory that never gets old. I remember when I didn't know how to fix a simple pump, and now I've built a system that keeps me hydrated. I walk over to the wall where I keep my tools, selecting the axe for the day's work. The woodpile needs to be replenished before the next storm rolls in. It's hard work, but it keeps the cold at bay and my mind sharp. I step out into the crisp air, the forest stretching out before me in a blanket of white. The silence is heavy, but it doesn't weigh on me anymore.
I take a deep breath, feeling the strength in my lungs and the resolve in my heart. I start chopping wood, the rhythm of the axe hitting the log echoing through the trees. It's a primal sound, a declaration of my presence in this wilderness. I'm not just surviving, I'm claiming this space as my own. As the sun begins to dip below the horizon, I head back inside. The cabin is waiting, a warm, secure fortress against the encroaching night.
I feel a sense of accomplishment, knowing I've done what needed to be done today.
Inside, I light the lamp and sit down to rest. The silence of the cabin is different from the silence outside. It's a companion, not a threat.
I look around at the walls I've reinforced and the life I've built, and I feel a deep sense of peace.
I pick up my journal, the pages worn and filled with my own handwriting.
It's a record of my survival, a testament to the strength I didn't know I had.
Every word is a victory, a mark of my defiance against the man who tried to erase me. I close the journal and blow out the lamp, the darkness of the cabin wrapping around me like a blanket.
I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. I'm home, I'm safe, and I'm ready for whatever tomorrow brings.